The world, as we know it, hums with an incessant symphony. A constant, subtle thrum of life. From the rustle of leaves to the distant bark of a dog, from the chirping of crickets to the gentle sigh of the wind, our existence is soundtracked by the ceaseless rhythm of nature. We rarely notice it, this background hum, until it's gone. And when it vanishes, when the world falls silent, that's when true terror begins. It's a primal fear, etched deep into our collective consciousness, a warning from our ancient past that silence often precedes the storm, the predator, or the unknown. It was precisely 3:33 in the morning in Willow Creek. A small, unassuming rural community, nestled deep within a landscape where the rhythm of life was dictated by the sun and the moon, by the turning of the seasons, and by the unwavering pulse of the natural world. For generations, the residents of Willow Creek had known this rhythm intimately. Their lives were intertwined with the land, their days marked by the crow of the rooster, their nights by the nocturnal chorus of insects, the persistent calls of night birds, the vigilant barks of their guard dogs echoing across the fields. All of it was the uninterrupted soundtrack of their nights. A comforting, predictable melody that lulled them into sleep and greeted them with the dawn. It was the sound of safety, of continuity, of life itself. Until that one night. In a single, terrifying second, the world went mute. It wasn't a gradual fading. There was no slow diminish, no gentle quietude descending upon the land. It was an abrupt, total cessation. As if an unseen hand had reached out and pressed the mute button on existence itself. The world stopped breathing. The symphony of life, so constant, so familiar, simply ceased. The air, once vibrant with the myriad sounds of the night, became heavy, oppressive, almost viscous with its sudden emptiness. Imagine it. One moment, the air is alive with the buzzing and chirping, the next, an absolute, profound silence. A silence so deep, so unnatural, that it felt like a physical presence. It pressed in on the ears, on the mind, on the very soul. It was a silence that didn't just lack sound, it actively consumed it. It swallowed every whisper, every rustle, every distant echo, leaving behind a void that screamed louder than any noise. It was the sound of nothingness, and it was terrifying. And the most unsettling part? The people of Willow Creek didn't wake up because of a sudden noise. They woke up because of the absence of it. They were roused from their sleep not by a scream or a thunderclap, not by an alarm or a child's cry, but by the sheer, suffocating discomfort of this absolute quiet. A silence so deafening, it became a sound in itself. A sound of pure, unadulterated dread. It was the sound of their own minds struggling to comprehend the impossible, the sound of their instincts screaming a warning that their ears could not confirm. The hour itself, 3:33 a.m., is not a mere coincidence for those who delve into the unexplained. In folklore, in paranormal investigations, and in the shadowed corners of ancient beliefs, this is often referred to as the dead hour, or the witching hour. It is considered the inverse, the dark mirror, of 3 p.m., the traditional hour of Christ's death. A time when the veil between worlds, they say, is at its thinnest. A moment when the natural order can be most easily disturbed, or perhaps, when something unnatural can most easily slip through. It's a time when dreams bleed into reality, when shadows lengthen and take on lives of their own, and when the boundaries of the known world become dangerously permeable. For centuries, tales have been whispered of strange occurrences during these unholy hours, of encounters with entities best left undisturbed, and of the world itself holding its breath. But beyond the mystical, there was a profound human element to this event. People didn't just wake up, they woke up with a feeling. A deep, unsettling unease that permeated their very being. For many, this deafening silence caused an inexplicable nausea, a churning in the stomach that had no logical source.
This can't be happening.
An acute anxiety, a cold dread that snaked its way up their spines, raising goosebumps on their skin. It was as if their bodies, before their minds could even process the absence of sound, instinctively knew that something was terribly, fundamentally wrong. They felt it in their bones, a primal fear that transcended conscious thought, a warning system screaming without a discernible threat. Their hearts pounded, not from a sudden fright, but from the sustained, oppressive weight of the quiet. They lay in their beds, eyes wide open in the oppressive darkness,
What was that?
straining to hear anything. A cricket. A dog. The wind. Anything. But there was nothing. Only the echo of their own frantic heartbeats in their ears, amplified by the unnatural quiet. The silence seemed to press down on them, a physical weight that made breathing difficult, made thoughts race, and made the familiar comfort of their homes feel suddenly alien and exposed. Some rose, drawn by an irresistible urge to look outside, to peer into the inky blackness that seemed to swallow all sound. They pressed their faces against cold window panes, searching for answers in the silent, moonlit landscape. But the night offered no comfort, only an intensified sense of isolation and dread. The moon, usually a serene presence, seemed to cast an unnaturally pale, almost sickly light, illuminating a world that felt utterly abandoned. The true horror, however, was not in what the humans felt, but in what the animals saw, or perhaps what they sensed. The visual evidence, meticulously gathered in the hours and days that followed, painted a picture far more chilling than any nightmare. It suggested a terror so profound, so absolute, that it transcended the boundaries of species, reaching into the very core of their being. It was a fear that stripped away their instincts, their defenses, leaving them utterly vulnerable and silent. Imagine this scene, unfolding across Willow Creek, captured in grainy photographs and hushed eyewitness accounts. Hundreds of birds. Crows, sparrows, pigeons, all of them. Perched on high-tension wires, on the bare branches of ancient oak trees, on the rooftops of barns. Immobile. Like statues carved from the night itself. Their heads, every single one, turned in the exact same direction. Staring. At what? No one could say. Not a single chirp, not a flutter of wings. Just an eerie, collective stillness. As if they had been frozen in mid-flight, mid-song, by an invisible force. Their eyes, usually darting and alert, were wide and unblinking, fixed on some unseen point in the distance, a point that held their absolute, terrified attention. Their feathers, usually ruffled by the slightest breeze, lay perfectly still, as if the air itself had ceased to move around them. It was a tableau of petrified avian life, a silent, feathered army awaiting an unknown command. Then there were the dogs. The loyal, aggressive guard dogs, known for their fierce barks and unwavering vigilance. These animals, usually quick to challenge any intruder, quick to announce any disturbance with a cacophony of growls and barks, were found cowering, huddled deep in the corners of their doghouses, or pressed against the walls of their kennels. Trembling visibly, their bodies racked with an uncontrollable shiver. But not a single whimper. Not a growl. Not a bark. Their mouths were closed, their usual warning calls silenced by a terror so absolute it had stolen their voices. Their eyes, usually bright and intelligent, were wide with a primal fear, darting nervously as if tracking an invisible predator that only they could perceive. Their tails, usually wagging or held high in defiance, were tucked tightly between their legs, a universal sign of abject submission to an overwhelming threat. Even the insects, the smallest, most ubiquitous creatures of the night, were affected. Close-up footage, later analyzed, showed trails of ants, usually a bustling highway of activity, suddenly stopping. Freezing in place, mid-stride, as if caught in a sudden, invisible ember. Spiders, suspended in the intricate webs they had meticulously spun, remained utterly motionless. No twitch, no subtle vibration. The very flow of life, even at its most microscopic level, seemed to have been interrupted. Beetles paused mid-scurry, moths clung to walls without a flutter, and crickets, the very symbol of the night's chorus, were utterly, terrifyingly silent. It was a microscopic apocalypse of stillness. Cats, usually nocturnal hunters, creatures of stealth and independent spirit, were found hidden deep under beds, or squeezed into the darkest corners of closets, their fur bristling, their eyes glowing with a mixture of fear and confusion. Their usual aloofness replaced by a desperate need for concealment, their bodies pressed against anything that offered a semblance of safety. Horses, typically restless in their pastures, creatures of power and grace, stood perfectly still, their heads bowed, their ears flattened, staring blankly into the empty fields. Their powerful legs, usually eager to gallop, were rooted to the spot, their muscles tense but unmoving. Livestock in barns, cows and sheep, were huddled together, silent and unmoving, usual lowing and bleating replaced by an unsettling quiet, their eyes wide and glassy, reflecting an unseen horror. It was as if the entire animal kingdom, from the smallest ant to the largest horse, had been struck by a collective paralysis. A universal fear that silenced their instincts, their calls, their very movements. They were not merely quiet, they were terrified into submission. Their natural world, their very essence, had been overridden by an external force, leaving them as mute, trembling witnesses to an event beyond human comprehension. This observation of animals falling silent before catastrophic events is not new. It is a phenomenon woven into the fabric of human history and folklore, a thread connecting ancient fears to modern mysteries. For centuries, legends and popular accounts have spoken of the presage of animal silence, when nature itself falls quiet before a great disaster or the manifestation of something that defies our understanding. In many cultures, when the animals stop making noise and seek refuge, it is an unequivocal sign that something is profoundly wrong, whether it be an imminent physical danger like an earthquake, or a tsunami, or a presence that transcends the natural world, a spiritual disturbance, a malevolent entity. This ancient belief, this primal understanding, only deepened the mystery of Willow Creek, lending it an almost mythical weight. It suggested that what happened was not just an anomaly, but a warning, a dark omen whispered by the very creatures who share our planet. What could have caused such an anomalous event? A silence that not only muted the world but terrorized its wildlife and disturbed the sleep of its human inhabitants? A silence that echoed with an unseen threat, a silent scream from the heart of nature itself? To try and understand, to peel back the layers of this chilling mystery, we must explore three theories, each more intriguing and unsettling than the last. Each theory attempts to grasp at the edges of an event that defies easy explanation, pushing the boundaries of science, the supernatural, and the darkest corners of human endeavor. Our first theory delves into the realm of science, seeking a logical, albeit profoundly unsettling, explanation for the profound silence that gripped Willow Creek. It attempts to ground the inexplicable in the measurable, to find a scientific basis for the universal terror that silenced an entire ecosystem. Theory 1. The infrasound frequency. This is perhaps the most grounded, the most down-to-earth explanation, yet it remains deeply unsettling in its implications. It suggests that an infrasound frequency, a sound wave with a frequency lower than the lower limit of human audibility, typically below 20 Hz, was emitted. While these waves are imperceptible to our ears, they are known to be extremely disturbing, even terrifying, to animals. Infrasound can cause a range of physiological and psychological effects in creatures sensitive to it, including feelings of unease, anxiety, disorientation, nausea, and even outright panic. It's a silent, vibrational assault on their nervous systems, a warning felt deep within their bones. Where could such a powerful and pervasive infrasound frequency originate? One possibility points to a deep earth tremor, a rare and powerful geological phenomenon occurring far beneath the surface. These subterranean shifts, often precursors to earthquakes or volcanic activity, can generate immense infrasound waves that travel through the earth and air, affecting animals long before any seismic activity is felt by humans. Imagine the earth itself groaning, a soundless roar of immense power that only the animals can perceive, signaling an impending catastrophe that never fully materialized, or perhaps was averted at the last moment. This geological explanation would mean Willow Creek was caught in the silent wake of a planetary event, a tremor of such magnitude that it momentarily paralyzed all life. Another, far more sinister, possibility suggests a secret military experiment. Governments and defense agencies around the world are constantly developing new technologies, some of which involve advanced forms of communication, surveillance, or even non-lethal crowd control. Could a clandestine test of a new infrasound weapon, designed to disorient, incapacitate, or psychologically manipulate, have gone awry? A technology meant for a specific, covert purpose, perhaps to disrupt enemy communications, create a psychological effect on target population, or even to test a new form of silent deterrent, might have inadvertently blanketed Willow Creek. This accidental deployment would have caused widespread terror among its animal inhabitants, turning the entire region into an unwitting, silent laboratory. For the animals, this low-frequency wave would be perceived as an imminent, overwhelming danger, a threat they could not see, hear, or understand, but one that paralyzed them with fear, silencing their instincts, and freezing them in place. It would be a silent scream, felt rather than heard, a harbinger of doom that only they could truly comprehend, a testament to humanity's capacity for creating unseen horrors. Our second theory ventures into the mystical, exploring the possibility that the silence was a harbinger of something far beyond our current scientific understanding, something that transcends the boundaries of our known reality. Theory 2. The passage of the unexplained. For those more inclined towards the supernatural, the silence at 3:33 a.m. in Willow Creek could be the direct result of something passing through. Something that does not belong to our plane of existence. An entity, an interdimensional phenomenon, or a profound disturbance in the very fabric of reality that our limited human senses are simply incapable of processing. We lack the sensory apparatus, the spiritual sensitivity, or perhaps the sheer primal instinct to detect its presence directly, but the animals, with their heightened perceptions, their ancient connection to the unseen world, would have seen, or felt, it in a visceral, undeniable way. Imagine a ripple in the veil between dimensions, a momentary tear that allowed something to briefly manifest or pass through our world. This something would not necessarily be a physical creature in the conventional sense, but perhaps a being of pure energy, a distortion of space-time, or an entity from a realm utterly alien to our own. Its very presence would have radiated a terror so profound, so absolute, that it overwhelmed the animals' natural instincts for fight or flight. It wouldn't be a physical threat they could bite or run from, but an existential dread that froze them in their tracks, stripping them of their will to move or make a sound. While we, as humans, might only register the echo of this fear as an inexplicable chill, a deep sense of unease, or that unsettling nausea, the animals would have experienced its full, terrifying force. Their silence would not be a choice, but a consequence of being utterly paralyzed by an encounter with the truly alien, the truly other. It would be a testament to a presence so overwhelming, so fundamentally wrong, that it silenced the very essence of life around it, leaving behind only the chilling memory of its passage. This theory suggests that Willow Creek was, for a fleeting moment, a crossroads between worlds, and its inhabitants, both human and animal, bore witness to a truth far grander and more terrifying than they could ever fully grasp. The silence was not an absence, but a presence, a heavy shroud cast by something beyond our comprehension. Our third and final theory delves into the shadowy world of conspiracy, suggesting a deliberate, covert operation with far-reaching implications, a testament to the lengths some organizations might go to achieve their hidden objectives. Theory 3. The electromagnetic signal blockade. This theory posits a large-scale electromagnetic signal blockade test. Could a highly advanced technology, perhaps developed by a clandestine government agency, a powerful private corporation with military contracts, or even a shadowy global organization, have been deployed in the Willow Creek area? This technology would be designed to disrupt or block electromagnetic signals, potentially for communication jamming, advanced surveillance, or even more esoteric purposes like weather manipulation or mind control. The crucial element here is the unintended, or perhaps intended, side effect. Such a powerful electromagnetic pulse or field could have inadvertently affected the nervous systems of all living beings within that region. Not just disrupting electronic devices and communications, but interfering with the delicate bioelectrical processes that govern life itself. Every thought, every muscle contraction, every sensory input in a living creature relies on electrical impulses. For animals, whose nervous systems are often more finely tuned and less buffered than our own, this interference could have caused a temporary paralysis, a complete shutdown of their sensory input and motor functions. It could have silenced not just the sound waves, but the very neural activity that generates their calls, their movements, their instincts, effectively putting them into a state of suspended animation or extreme catatonia. The intriguing, and deeply disturbing, twist in this theory is the human element. Why were humans seemingly less affected, experiencing only discomfort, nausea, and anxiety, rather than the complete paralysis observed in the animals? Perhaps humans were the indirect object of study, their reactions observed as a control group to gauge the psychological impact of such a field. Or perhaps our more complex nervous systems, or even our reliance on different sensory inputs, made us less susceptible to the full paralyzing effect, granting us a partial immunity to the technology's full power. This theory paints a chilling picture of a world where unseen forces are at play, where experiments with profound biological consequences are conducted in secret, turning an entire ecosystem into an unwitting laboratory. The silence, in this context, would be a chilling byproduct of human ambition and technological advancement, a silent scream of nature under experimental duress, a warning of the dangers of unchecked power. So, what truly happened in Willow Creek at 3:33 a.m.? Was it a scientific anomaly, a geological whisper from the Earth's core, or a secret military test gone awry, a silent weapon unleashed by accident? Was it a fleeting glimpse into another dimension, a moment when the veil thinned and something inexplicable passed through, leaving a trail of terror in its wake, a cosmic dread that silenced all life? Or was it a calculated, covert operation, a silent experiment that turned an entire community into an unwitting participant in a grand, unsettling design, a chilling demonstration of control? The truth remains elusive, shrouded in the profound silence that descended upon that rural community. The event left an indelible mark, a biological anomaly that forces us to question the limits of our perception and our understanding of the world. It challenges our assumptions about what is real, what is possible, and what lies just beyond the edge of our comprehension. If the animals fell silent because they were afraid, what exactly were they afraid of? What unseen horror could possibly command such universal, absolute terror, silencing the very pulse of life itself, leaving only a void where sound once was? The silence of Willow Creek serves as a chilling reminder that there are forces, known and unknown, that can disrupt the very fabric of our reality. It reminds us that sometimes, the most terrifying sound is no sound at all. It is a void, an emptiness that speaks volumes, echoing with the unspoken fears of every living creature. And that perhaps, the animals, with their ancient wisdom and heightened senses, are always the first to know when something truly dark, truly profound, is approaching. They are the silent sentinels, the first to fall, leaving us to wonder what horrors they witnessed in that terrifying moment of absolute quiet. What do you believe happened that night? Which of these theories resonates most with you, sending the deepest shivers down your spine? Or do you have an entirely different explanation for the terrifying silence that gripped Willow Creek, an explanation even more unsettling than the ones we've explored? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this dive into the unexplained captivating, if it made you question the sounds of your own night, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about our world.